Hi everyone. For those of you that are wondering how to create movable items in a Seesaw activity, this video will show you how to do that. So as you can see, I am already in my Seesaw library and I'm going to start by going into Create New Activity. Once here, obviously I'm going to go through and I am going to put in my directions and my activity name. So I'm just going to call this How to Create Movable Labels. I'm not going to worry right now about doing the rest of the instructions for sake of time, obviously. The most important piece, though, that you need to know at this point is that when you are creating movable labels for students, you are actually creating a template. And so you're going to want to come down to this bottom area here where it says Add Template for Student Responses. So I'm going to add there, and then I'm going to come up here and I am going to start by going into my drawing tool, which is going to give me all of my tools. Now, for sake of time, I already did a template to start with. One of the things that I do like to do is to create my background templates in Google Slides. And the reason that I like to do that is because now all of the pieces that I don't want students to move, or even clip art that maybe that I have that has copyright on it, I can put those in and create this as an image. So it is totally optional. You can totally build your templates right within Seesaw itself. This is just something that I like to do to add a little extra color, to kind of get things the way I want it and be able to layer things a little bit easier. So as you can see right now, when I did do this in Google Slides, I then saved that slide as an image or a JPEG, and that's what I now bring in, but it's still movable. So the first thing that I recommend to you is that anything that you are going to put on this template that you do not want students to move, make sure you lock it down. So as you can see right now, when I touch my image, the handles, the white dots around the outside are there. And if you look carefully down here at the bottom, you will see there are 3 dots. Sometimes those dots are on the side or the top. You'll have to kind of watch for them, but I'm going to touch those 3 dots and I'm going to lock this image down first and foremost. So as you can see right now, as I'm trying to move it, I'm moving my finger on the screen, nothing is moving. So the next step then is obviously to create your labels, and to do that I'm going to go into the text tool, and I know that I want my students to label the fire extinguisher, so I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put my keyboard away so you can see that. And again, you'll notice underneath are those 3 dots. If I go to those 3 dots, I can go up to Style at the top of that pop-up, and I can change the text if I want. If I want it to look a little bit differently, I'm going to stick with Classic. I can also change the background. So down here where you see the A's in the circles, the first one takes all of the background off. The second one keeps that black border as well as a slight see-through background. Or I can go to this one, which makes it completely dark. So I'm going to leave the dark one there. And then I'm going to move my handles in a little bit so I can make this a little bit smaller, and I'm just going to drag it off to the side so that my students can move it later. So I'm going to do that for each label. Now, one of the tricks that I recommend, especially if you're doing labels, I want my labels to be somewhat uniform in style and color and size, all of those things. So if you touch the label you already made, you'll see that that 3 dot area shows up again. If I touch the 3 dots, I can come down here in the pop-up to duplicate. It will make an identical one with the same color, font, style, etc. And now all I have to do is double tap on it, and when I do that I can now edit what is inside of it, but the box itself will stay the same. So I'm going to say helmet, I'm going to tap out, I'm going to do that again. So again, 3 dots to do this, duplicate, drag it to where you want it, double tap to edit, and let's say jacket. And I'll stop at that point. You can do as many as you need, obviously. All right, so those things, as you can see, if I put my finger on the screen, I can still move those items wherever I want on the screen. But again, my background does not move. I want to add some arrows here too to this so that students know what I'm pointing to and what they're labeling. So I'm going to go over here into the 3 dot area to Shapes. And you'll see that there are a lot of different shapes I can choose from. I'm going to pick an arrow here. And I'm going to bring that arrow, and I want it to point here at this fire extinguisher. So I used my finger to move it where I want. And right now you'll see there's an arrow up above. That's my rotation arrow. So I can turn that to the direction I want it to be pointing. And then again, I can use those handles, those 3 dots around the outside, to change how I want that arrow to look. I can use my slider of colors over here to change what that arrow color is going to be. I'm going to make mine black. And then again, right now, this is movable, as you can see. And this is something I don't want my students to be able to move on my template. I only want them to move the labels up above. So again, you can see the 3 dots are here. This time it's on the side because of how I rotated that image. So I'm going to touch the 3 arrows and I'm going to lock that down. So that's how you create a template. The big thing that you need to know here, and you'll see this in just a moment when I show you from the student side, is for your students to be able to move this, they have to have the hand down here has to be highlighted in blue in order for them to move. So I'm going to now save this template by green check mark at the top. Hopefully my internet won't be too terribly slow. Looks like we're doing okay this morning. I'm going to finish typing in my directions if I need to. I'm going to say test just to keep us rolling right along here, and I'm going to save it. And now I'm going to assign it to my class, and I'll show you what it looks like from the student side. Okay, so we're going to go back to my class and let's take a look at the activity. So at the top of my class feed right now, or my activity feed, you will see that that activity is now waiting for me. I'm going to click Add Response. This is what your students would need to do. They're going to choose their name if you are on a one-to-one sign-in like I am right now. Oops, and I already goofed. Well, it's going to let me do it anyway, so I'm good. And you'll notice right now that the hand down at the bottom is highlighted in blue, which means that I can now move things. The hand means move. So as your students now come on, they can take those pieces and they can label and move those pieces to where they need to go. The other tools are still available, so they can still write and do their own labeling on your templates as well, or whatever else you may be asking them to do. So when they're all done, obviously they are going to green check mark and green check mark again to upload their activity. One quick caveat that I had mentioned to you, I said, oops, I goofed. Let me just go back for just a quick moment and show you what I did that you may find helpful as far as practicing, and that is when I went to add response on this activity template at the top, instead of choosing my name, which I'm so used to doing, you can use sample student, because obviously you might not have your name in there. Your sample student is you, and then that's where you can practice using the activities that you have built and try them out as a student would see them. Hopefully that helps you out. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.